My high school years. My high school years, I went to performing arts school going back to my friends that would get kicked out. I hung with some badass kids. Oh my God. My friends at the time, okay, let me rewind. I came out to my mother when I was 13. I went to my first gay party when I was coming on the scene. I went to my first gay party, and this is when my big cousin that's trans comes in. I went to my first gay party when I think I was a freshman in high school. Um, this was back in like, I want to say MySpace days. People were just transferring over to Facebook. And I don't know how, but I've seen this message on MySpace about a gay party, and the gay party was literally like 10 minutes from my house when I was in high school. So I was like, okay, I've never been to a gay party. I don't really know a lot of gay people like that. When you're in high school, I mean, when you're in grade school, being gay is like taboo. So I didn't know a lot of kids that was gay. It was probably like three gay boys. I was the only one that was out, but it was like three gay boys. So at this time, me going to high school, I didn't really know a lot of gay people. I knew my cousin, who's trans now, and she was transitioning at the time. I didn't really know a lot of gay people, so it really excited me that something like a gay party was going on. So I went, and when I went, y'all, it was a lot because I'm seeing a lot of gay people. It was like flamboyant gay people. It was masculine gay people. It was trans people. Like all of this stuff that I'd never seen. I remember seeing so many attractive gay people, and this is where I actually met. This is where I actually met the boyfriend that I was telling you about. My boyfriend when I was 15 years old. His name was Rabbit. I met him at that party, and I remember just calling my cousin that was trans. I was like, Maya. I'm like, I went to this thing called a Maypo party. I'm like, and there was so many gay people. I'm like, I gotta take you. Like, it was so fun. Now, mind you, at this party, I was so filled with emotion because it was like I was seeing so much shit that I had never seen. Like I remember at the end of the party, they was fighting, and I was like, "Why are these?" I couldn't understand why. Like I'm like, we all gay, we hanging out. At the time, I'm green. I'm green. I'm like seeing everything through an oppressed lens. I couldn't understand why gay people were fighting at the time. So like macing each other. It was a lot. And then I remember like after the party, everybody was like, I'm going on Belmont. I'm going on Belmont. And Belmont in Chicago, that's our neighborhood. It's a big ass gay neighborhood. My cousin was trans. I knew one of her friends, his name was Adante. His name is Adante. I seen him there at the gay party. And, he was like, yeah, he called me his niece. He like, yeah, niece, we out finna go on Belmont. And at this point, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. And so we leave the gay party and we go to the neighborhood, and we are in the neighborhood till the sun comes up. And it was like I had never experienced anything like that. Like that was like the best day of my life. I had never ever experienced anything like that. So from then I met my friends. Like this would be my friends for like the next 2 to 3 years. I met them there. It was some other gay people that was around my age group, like some like a year younger than me, some like a year older than me. I met them, and this was like my new group. And these bitches, oh, they used to have me in so much shit. Like they were ghetto as hell. Like they used to boost. They were like the friends that would get into fights a lot. Like, oh my God, they used to be in and out of jail. They were some troubled ass kids. And they used to keep me in shit. I remember one time I went boosting with them. Of course, I didn't steal anything. I didn't even go into the stores that they were in. I knew what they were doing. I just went with them, and I remember not going into any stores. But I remember when they got locked up, I ended up getting locked up with them. And I remember I was talking to the cop, and I'm like, yeah, I knew what they were doing, but I'm like, how can you arrest me just for being association? I'm like, I didn't steal anything. I'm like, I never even went into the store. But I do remember the cop calling my mother, and my mother was able to come get me while my friends had to stay in jail. And I remember the cop telling my mother in front of me, like, you have a good child, like he has a good head on his shoulder, but he has really bad friends. And if he doesn't separate himself from them, like he's gonna go down a destructive path. Um, and my mother should have listened to the cop. I should never ever been able to hang with them again. But bitch, I was with them all the time. Then were my friends that I was saying like when they would get kicked out of their houses, my mother would let them stay. So at this point, I've met my boyfriend at this party. I met my friends. It's about three or four of us. I remember looking at my boyfriend at the time. I thought he was really cute, and I ended up somehow finding his social media, and I wrote him to tell me him he was cute, and we would like exchange messages via social media until I actually got his number and we started dating. Funny story, y'all. He used to keep me in shit too because, oh my God, one of my friends to this day from that childhood, we are still friends. His name is Chico. Chico lives in Atlanta. People from Atlanta probably know who Chico is, but to this day, me and Chico are still friends. And he was like cheating on me with Chico. Me and Chico went to the same high school together. And my boyfriend would cheat on me with Chico. And me and Chico would like find out and we would be like at each other's head. But like my boyfriend used to do a lot of fucked up shit to have me and stuff too. I remember he started a burn page and he was talking about everybody in a burn page. At this point, I am like deep into the scene. I'm in the scene now. Like I'm going to Kiki balls. I'm going to parties. I'm making a name for myself. Bitch, 15, 16 years old. Um, and I'm with Rabbit and he just caused havoc in the scene. Like he used to fight a lot too. He was escorting at that age. And I remember he started this burn page, and people started thinking that the burn page was me because he would talk about everybody in the burn page except me. Now, mind you, I used to look at the burn page too, bitch. I used to be excited for what they was gonna post. I never understood why they didn't post nothing about me, but the page did blackmail me one time. Was like the page was like, I know you got this person nudes, and I did have the person nudes. The person was like, I know you. The page was like, I know you got this person nudes, and unless you give them to me, I'm gonna spread your news. I got your news. And I was so distraught because I was like, how does this fucking burn page have my nudes? Like at the time, I wasn't sending them to nobody but my boyfriend. And me not really putting two and two together, I'm like, how does this burn page have my nudes? I was so scared, y'all. Like, I was so scared. I was crying. I was calling my friends like I didn't know what to do. But my friends used to think it was weird that the burn page didn't post me either. So now when I told them that, I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm telling my friends, they like, send the burn page the person's news. And I'm like, no, because that's just like the burn page posting my news. Again, me being green and everything. Me being green and try to do the right thing and shit. But I ended up not sending them. And the burn page told me they were going to post my news on social media in 2 days. And at this time, this is when you can post shit like that on social media and it will not get took down or flagged. So I was really nervous. And what ended up happening is my friends were over my house one time and they was on my computer and they noticed that the email of the burn page was up. So my friends were telling everybody that I started the burn page, and it was a rift between me and my friends. Like I stopped talking to them. I think I got into a physical fight with one of my friends. Like it was crazy. That was a crazy time in my moment in my life, and everybody thought that I started this burn page, and then my boyfriend had confessed to me the whole time that it was him. And I was so shocked. I was outraged. Mind you, he lived with me at this time, so that's how the burn page was on my computer. And I was like, if you don't tell everybody that you are the person that's really this burn page, I'm gonna tell my mama to put you out of our fucking house. You got everybody thinking this is be like, I am fighting for my motherfucking life. I'm going through hell on the scene because people think I started this burn page. So he ended up telling everybody he started the burn page. That didn't really make it any better because at this point it lingered so long that it was me. And they also just thought that he was my boyfriend, so he was taking up for me. It really didn't make any difference. People just at that time thought that I was just this messy ass bitch that started a burn page, and I didn't. Um, Needless to say, me and him broke up because I couldn't take a lot of the stuff that he was doing anymore. And I remember that being like my first heartbreak. Like, oh, I remember that being my first heartbreak. I remember me and him was texting, and I told him like, stop coming to my house because y'all, this is the thing. We were acting like it felt like we had this adult ass relationship because he lived with me. And then it was this point in time where he wasn't coming home. So I'm like, if you're not at home, where are you? I'm like, you can't go back to your parents' house. They kicked you out. That's why you've been living with us. And he lived with me my full freshman year of high school. So I'm like, where the fuck are you at? Like, where are you at? Were you not coming home? And I ended up finding out later after we broke up that he wasn't coming home because he was escorting. He needed to make money. I never thought about like how is he making money to get clothes? How is he making money to keep his phone on? Because my mama wasn't giving him no money. So I'm like, how is he steady getting clothes? How is he like eating? How is he paying his phone bill? I never thought of that. Like I never thought of that. And I guess I never thought of it because it was being done for me. My mother was doing it for me. So I never thought about how he was maintaining these things, but I later found out that he was escorting. So when he would not come home, it would be because he was escorting. And so that's what he was doing. But him not coming home, him cheating on me, going through all that stuff with the burn page, I felt like he put me through he put me through too much. And I remember just telling him like, you gotta go. I'm like, my mama said you gotta go. You can't live with us no more. I'm like, my mama said you put me through too much. Of course my mother didn't say that, but I just knew if I told him my mother said it, it would make it easier for him to not come to my house no more. So at this point we breaking up, he homeless. I remember just telling him like, I'm trying to break up with you because I'm starting to hate you. And I'm like, I don't want that for you because I'm like, I have a lot of love for you. I love you so much. I'm like, at that time he was my person. Like my boyfriend was like my best friend. We talked about everything. He supported me. I'm doing all this sexual shit with him. It was just, I don't know. At that time, he was my rock, but he was just bad for me. And I remember telling him, like, let's just break up. Like, move out. Let's just break up. Let's give it some time. Because I'm like, because I don't want to hate you. And I'm starting to hate you. And he was like, oh my God, when I was doing this shit for you, doing this shit for you, he like, I just kept thinking like, I don't want him to hate me. And he like, here it is. Now you hate me. I remember us breaking up. I was crying for weeks. I remember my mother was asking me like, "Where's he at? Why he not coming over no more?" And I told him he had to move. I'm like, I kicked him out. I'm like, it was too much for me. My mother cursed me out like, "Why would you kick him out? Like he don't got nowhere to go." I'm like, I just can't do it. Like, I'm like, I can't do it. It was too much for me. I remember like crying for weeks, and my mother would be like consoling me. It was just a lot. I was so heartbroken. That was my first heartbreak. And I think to him, I was like the one that got away because I remember from me being like 15 to me being like 19. That man wanted to be back with me so bad. So fast forwarding, because most of my teenage years were like that. You know, regular drama shit. Like in high school, I'm being on the gay scene at this point of time. I've joined the ballroom scene. I was walking balls, dating boys, navigating through the scene. So that's how that went. Like probably the normal average life of it, like a teenage gay person. Getting older, I remember I met this guy. His name was Xavier. I was 19 years old when I met Xavier. Oh my God, our relationship was so tricky because, oh my God, y'all, I just realized I got a problem. But anyway, I met Xavier through. Oh, okay. So this situation about to be tricky. I met Xavier through my friend Superman. I met my friend Superman on the ballroom in the ballroom scene, but Superman was dating my best friend. Superman was dating my best friend, and Superman lived in St. Louis. At the time, we lived in Chicago. And when he would come to Chicago, he would hang with my best friend. Of course, my best friend would come get me. We would all hang together. And I just remember getting really, really close with Superman to the point where Superman and my best friend broke up, but I was still friends with Superman at this time. So I would like when I would go to balls in St. Louis, I would like stay with Superman at his house. We would like hang out. Superman became like my bitch. I remember Superman telling me like he felt like I was his best friend. Although he had a best friend, his best friend name was Lil Ant. Lil Ant lives here in Atlanta. Lil Ant is really like popular in Atlanta, but at that time, me, Superman, and Lil Ant, we had got really close. When I would go to St. Louis, I would hang with them. When they would come to Chicago, they would hit me up. And I was so close to him that I remember Superman was cheating on my best friend with the guy Xavier. That's how I met him. That's how I met him. And I remember I ended up telling my best friend one day, like after months of not telling her that, like, I'm like, bitch, Superman is cheating on you. I'm like, he goes with this boy named Xavier. And I think like at that time I had to realize, like, okay, bitch, this is your best friend. Like, you gotta support her. And so it's like get back to my best friend. I was like I was gonna sleep with Superman. I mean I was gonna sleep with Xavier to get under Superman's skin. And I remember I did it for my best friend and I ended up liking Xavier. And at the time Xavier was living in St. Louis too, but he was getting ready to move to Atlanta. And the reason why this story is so significant because I ended up fucking Xavier for my friend as Get Back for Superman. So me and Superman became strained, and this is where my Atlanta journey is starting because me and him would like talk over the phone. We would like talk over the phone. We would like text each other, talk through social media. Like that's how our relationship was. And I think he came to Chicago to see me once. And I went to St. Louis when he went to visit his mother. I went and visited him once in St. Louis. But he really lived in Atlanta. And at the time, I was only 19 years old. So that was like the other side of the world to me. I didn't really travel that far often. Like places that I was going at that age, I was going to like St. Louis. I was going to like Indiana, Detroit. Places that were in the Midwest that I can get to within a couple of hours, like via bus. In Atlanta and Chicago via bus is like, I think 10 hours away from each other. So I didn't really go that far. I ended up moving to Atlanta the very first time I moved to Atlanta, which was 2015, because of him. So that's how my Atlanta journey started. Needless to say, after I got to Atlanta, that didn't really last too long because he was a ain't shit ass nigga, and he was like cheating on me all the time. He did some foul shit to me, y'all. I remember like I moved to Atlanta for him. And then I remember finding out that he was with in a relationship with another person the entire time. I remember just trying to call him one day and I was like blocked. I was blocked like from everything. I had no contact with him and I was just so confused because I had moved to Atlanta for him. I was just so confused. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why that happened. Of course, at this point I'm like, okay, I guess we broken up. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I just felt so alone at the time in Atlanta. I didn't have any friends here. All I had was him and his friends. So, and it was just like, I was so confused. And I remember like moving back to Chicago. I remember moving back to Chicago and I was still trying to reach out to him in Chicago while I was in Chicago because I didn't understand like what was going on. And I remember his best friend just ended up telling me like, this is what happened. He was in a relationship the entire time. He was with somebody else. He just ended up choosing the other person over you. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but I feel like you need to hear it. I'm like, I feel like you need to hear it. And it's so crazy because I had met his family. Remember, I told you I went and stayed with his family one time. So I knew his brothers and sisters. I would call his family. I would call his brothers. I would call his sisters, acting like, what was going on? Where is he at? Is he okay? Because I was blocked from everything. I had not heard of him. And his brothers and sisters would just tell me like they haven't heard from him either, like lying and shit. Of course, that's his family. They lying for him, but I just did not really understand. So that was my journey of Atlanta at the beginning. When I went back home, I ended up meeting this guy. His name was Michael, and he lived in New York. And then I remember moving to New York for Michael, which also was another bullshit ass thing. And at this time of my life, I'm 21.